I'm very glad to have some early birds here in the room, and very glad to talk to you about how Thales is using CVA6 or RISC-V in general to have sovereign open source hardware sources and therefore a sovereign open source supply chain. I might take this to move forward. So let me start, first of all, to introduce a little bit of Thales. I don't know who is familiar with Thales. Okay, some are, and the Thales guys here in the room are. This is a good sign. So some key figures about Thales. Thales is about 83,000 employees strong company, acting internationally, so in 68 countries with a global footprint. The impressive number is more about the 4 billion of R&D that we are spending, and therefore 1 billion is self-funded. The others are investments that do this together with customers. And we have about 21 billion of revenues. Thales is a major actor and a technology leader in critical domains as such as avionics and space, so aerospace, defense, communication, and security. And in these domains, we are quite successful, so not only with our satellites, but with our flight control systems, with our air traffic management systems. We are in 2 of 3 airports. The air traffic management is done by Thales, for example. You see in the middle, you see one of our famous radars for air surveillance, communication systems, and the recent, I would say, strong pillar or strong domain we are increasing is on cybersecurity. We are now about number 2 in cybersecurity. And this was a big transformation, a big step forward for Thales, especially with the acquisition of Gemalto and Imperva in the recent years. We have been investing in digital technologies more than 7 billion, including merchant acquisition activities, and this is an increasing number. And we are, so to say, in a very special geopolitical context you might be aware of all the days. So what I've depicted here is the situation we are in and the situation we have to adapt and the situation we have to react to. So first of all, what is threatening the little continent here called Europe? So there are threats from East and West, and this time I'm not talking about the conflict in Ukraine, but I'm talking rather on the situation in China and the threats that come along with that, and especially export control threats that threaten the disponibility, the availability of IPs that we are using in our products, and for sure, and this is an increasing uncertainty. It's the threat from the West and the threat about some kind of uncertainties introduced by politics in the Western hemisphere, especially from US. And you know the debates that, well, recently, so the last days, it calmed down a little bit with the tariffs, but who knows whether this pops up again, and this definitely threatens our business models. So we are looking for new ways to be independent of these uncertainties, being independent of threats, and being independent of both the Western and the Eastern ideas and I would say unplannable events that might occur. Which doesn't mean for sure, and this is important because there are definitely people here from Western and Eastern partners, we are working together, that we will stop all these collaborations. But the opposite, we are trying to build stable and reliable partnerships with these companies, but everything always under the reflection of how can we react if things go a little bit, I would say, difficult. So Thales stands for building a future we can all trust, and we have chosen this motto by purpose because, first of all, we are a very innovative company. 4 billion F&E as R&D, is a very innovative footprint. We can all trust means that we are acting in critical domains, as I said, aerospace, defense, secure communication, and cybersecurity. So building a future we can all trust means essentially that we are built on digital sovereignty. In our products, digital sovereignty is a key. We have to be always able to deliver, and this is why customers choose us, because we are able to deliver independently of what happens in a geopolitical context. We are able to deliver. This means a sovereignty which is combined with reliable supply chains, with own IPs on critical and crucial topics, especially on the topics of safety and security. Almost all our products are topic of safety and security regulation and certification. So it's a very important topic we are dealing with, and a very important topic also to combine with IPs that we are using. And to have this sovereignty, to have this independence, to have safety and security requirements compliant and satisfied, we have chosen open source hardware as a key technology for our hardware development. And I'm saying this with a lot of, I would say, also pride, because the open source hardware activity is a quite young discipline within Thales. So if I say young in the time constants of Thales, in the domains we are acting, young means about 10 years old, which is still young within Thales, and an ever increasing activity. And I will give you some examples afterwards in my speech. So maybe to mention also that open source hardware is one of the 6 key research and technologies activities I'm pushing as the CTO. Among the others, we are speaking of cloud and edge technologies, and open source and cloud and edge technologies go sometimes hand in hand. Then I'm speaking of artificial intelligence, and especially the increasing amount of AI that we are using in our products. And I will show you an example how AI, and especially AI acceleration based on open source, is getting to our products. Then we are looking, and this is a more long-term horizon, then we are looking to quantum technologies. We are looking to future communication beyond 5G. And we are looking to even more advanced or futuristic technologies like what you find in neuroscience, for example. Open source hardware is thus one of the key pillars of our research and technology roadmap. And I can explain you briefly why we are doing that. So you're all familiar about that, but it's maybe interesting to hear from someone who is responsible for the research and technology roadmap from a very big company, why we are so keen on open source hardware and why we are investing constantly in that. And I have in the room our specialists also for open hardware, Christoph, for example, who helped me to prepare this speech and who will be later on, and I invite you all to go to the Thales path to get more explanation from Christoph, for example. So why does Thales invest in RISC-V? So first of all, the pleasure, the challenge, and also sometimes the fun to work together in a community is very important. This might seem a little bit strange for usually the big companies are a little bit reluctant on this kind of cooperation, but we see a lot of advantage in working together in communities. First of all, the sharing of cost, development cost is a very important point, but then also the sharing of ideas, I would say, the challenges that we tackle together and that where we bring forward technology and application is very important. I spoke a lot on sovereignty, and especially this is important for Thales, especially in fields where we are threatened by being under export control. So the commercial exploitation without export constraints is very, very important for Thales. I've spoken about safety and the transparency that helps us to fulfill security and safety requirements. I would say the trend that more and more of chip designs, commercial processor designs don't fit exactly on what we want is very important, so we can reduce the function set that we need in our processors with the chosen approaches, especially the RISC-V approach, and thus we can reduce the swap and consummation issues. No vendor locking, supply chain, an independent supply chain and a sovereign supply chain is very important. And for sure, and this is more and more increasing, the software ecosystem around RISC-V and open hardware in general is very impressive. Having said that, we have chosen to be a member of the Open Hardware Foundation and RISC-V International, and we feel very much honored to be part of this community, to contribute and to work together with the other members to push forward this technology. I brought you three examples in the remaining 5 minutes. Yes, the remaining 5 minutes, and you can get more information on that. I mean, for sure, no confidential information, but more information on that from Christoph later on the booth. So first of all, the teams from Thales Alenia Space want to develop a new spatial onboard computing. So a new spatial onboard computer, usually what we did is the classical development path, so looking what are the components that we can combine and then design the system as that with some additional contribution and IPs from our side. And this time we changed a little bit the approach. So the approach was first of all to look what are possible open source assets that we can leverage. So open source assets as, for example, RISC-V, for sure, the CVA6 core that we have chosen with ETH Zurich, but also Open Titan as a secure root of trust, and the vector accelerator, so AI accelerator designed for RISC-V. Bringing that together, leveraging that, putting our own assets and our own IPs with respect to space hardness, space robustness to that, which reduced tremendously the development cost. This means that we are now able to put a new spatial onboard computer in, I would say, in maturity. That we can use this with a mixed critical software platform so that we can run different applications on that. And this is it's a very interesting and a very important breakthrough for these kind of large and industrial developments that we have done together with the University of Bologna, the ETH Zurich, and Fondazione Chips IT in Italy. Maybe, and before I start with that, it's also important, and from my perspective, I could say that the fact that we are on open source hardware means also that we are leaving a little bit the classical path of commercial components, because the commercial components are more and more oriented to the, I would say, big clients, especially mobile phones, data centers, and so on. And they are also not so much accessible for our requirements. With an open hardware-based platform, we can design it to our own requirements, and this is much easier and much more stable and, I would say, much more controllable from our side. Next innovation is a low area, small footprint, industrial-grade CVA6 microcontroller that has been released, that has been verified based on CVA6 too, so the 32-bit variant, ready for integration. It's TRL5, so ready for integration into silicon products. And there we have been focusing for sure on a couple of added value IPs, but everything is open and also accessible in the Open Hardware Foundation. So if you have interest to use this and to contribute to the further development, please feel free and feel welcome to take this Thales innovation and the open hardware contribution for that. The third and the last example is an example where, or it's kind of next steps, because it's not ready. It's just started and kicked off in the first quarter of this year, where we joined forces from research, academia, and industry to have an application core. So with a memory management unit, which we call CVA664 application core, which has just started. The project name, you see it below. We are working together with the CEA, and I'd like to invite you also to the booth of the CEA. I've been there in the morning already. It's quite interesting. And you all are welcome to work together with us and the other contributors here that you see on the right side, to work together with us on this project and to do the next step, the verification up to TRL5. So, to summarize, Thales is a major stakeholder of open hardware technologies. It's one of our key research and technology topics. Thales is actively contributing to open hardware. We see a lot of advantages, especially from the independence, from the sovereignty, but also from swap and the cost of development perspective. We are engaged, and I just brought with me 3 examples. We are engaged in many more examples for open hardware. And we would be very, very happy to continue this path together with you. And therefore, I'd like to thank you and to invite you to our booth. Thank you very much.